Hello, my friends. This is Aunty Abby. You can also call me Fiddler. Today, I'll be reading to you the story by the name of Florence and Wilfred by Sally Sherningham. Florence was an elderly fairy. She lived in a snug little cottage with her best friend, a marmalade cat called Wilfred. Florence was very happy on the whole, except every now and then she longed to be young and beautiful again. "But I like you just the way you are," Wilfred would say, and Florence would reply to the cat. A male cat couldn't possibly understand how she felt. For Florence's 195th birthday, Wilfred gave her a pair of warm, sensible slippers. "It's very kind of you, Wilfred dear," sighed Florence, "but these slippers make me feel even older." Then Florence suddenly had a brilliant idea. "I know," she exclaimed. "I give myself a birthday present. I'll use my magic to become young and beautiful again." "Don't you think that's a brilliant idea, Wilfred?" Said Wilfred. "I think it's a very unbrilliant idea if you ask me," and he stalked off with his nose in the air. The young and beautiful spell turned out to be very complicated, and Florence missed having Wilfred to help her. She had to find unpleasant ingredients like slugs and bugs and other shiny things too nasty to mention. At last everything was assembled in a saucepan. She waved her magic wand. There was a bright blue flash, and the concoction started to boil and smoke. When it cooled down, she poured the portion into a silver goblet and drank it. It tasted as revolting as it looked. "I suppose even fairies have to suffer to be beautiful," Florence sighed, and pulling her face. Then she went upstairs, stood in the front of the mirror, and she waited. She felt rather nervous. Suddenly the magic started. Fizz! Her hair, straight white hair, turned jet black and started to curl. Whizz! Her wrinkled cheeks and crumpled wings turned as smooth as they would just been ironed out. Her plump cuddly body turned sleek and curvy. Wilfred, who had heard all the fizzing and whizzing from the garden, watched disapprovingly from the doorway. "Just look at me," Florence gasped. "I must be the most beautiful fairy in the world." "Ah, you don't think I've overdone the spell a bit, do you, Wilfred?" "A bit," growled Wilfred. "That's putting it mildly. It's bound to lead to trouble if you ask me," but Florence just ignored him. "I feel pretty, oh so pretty," she sang, twirling around and around in a cornflower blue dress. She hadn't been able to fit in it since she was 18. Said Wilfred. "Personally, I prefer you the way you were." But Florence just told him not to be such a spoiled sport. During her birthday tea, Florence kept rushing off into the mirror to admire herself. She hardly ate any of the pink cake Wilfred had baked for her. "It's delicious, Wilfred there, but I don't want to spoil my new slim figure," she said, tossing her black curls. Said Wilfred again. But there was one thing Florence had overlooked in her desire to be young and beautiful, and that was all the goblins and elves and gnomes for miles around would fall in love with her. It wasn't long before they were creaking at her door. In just 1 week she received 10 boxes of chocolates, 9 bunches of flowers, 8 gold rings, and 7 offers of marriage. Soon Florence spent all her time being wooed by doting admirers, having sweet nothings whispered into her ear. "I might as well be a bit of furniture for the amount of interest she's showing in me," Wilfred thought sulkily as he sat alone by the fire. The weeks went by, and after a while Florence grew tired of being chased by all the gnomes and goblins and elves. She couldn't even go shopping without husbands pursuing her, and the sweet nothings were getting extremely boring. Then one night she had a horrible dream about being married to a particular ugly elf, and when she woke up it suddenly struck her that Wilfred was a better company than all her admirers put together. The next morning Florence and Wilfred were enjoying a quiet breakfast together when all of a sudden a fat gnome started to recite love poems through the window. If that wasn't bad enough, a bald goblin with a box of chocolates started to bang on the door. Bang, 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 bang. lanky elf tried to climb through the chimney with a bunch of red roses. "Oh, Wilfred, we can't even have breakfast in peace anymore," cried Florence sadly. "My nerves won't stand it. Please send me away before I go mad. Please send them away." "I will." Wilfred rose to his full height. The marmalade hairs on his back stood on the end, and his whiskers bristled. "My mistress won't be receiving visitors today, or tomorrow, or ever again," Wilfred announced in his most important voice. "So may I bid you gentlemen good day?" Wilfred could look quite fierce when he wanted to. He certainly did then, and Florence's suitors hurried off. "I have to admit that being young and beautiful has a few disadvantages," said Florence with a sigh. "Would you mind helping me change back into my old self, Wilfred, there?" "It would be a pleasure," said Wilfred. Together they prepared the magic potion. This time it tasted even more revolting. Then fizz, Florence's curly black hair turned straight and white. Whizz, her wrinkles turned. Zizz, her body became lumpy and cuddly again. Her suitors were all very puzzled. Whatever had happened to the young beautiful fairy? "She's gone away for good," Wilfred told them firmly. That evening Florence and Wilfred sat cosily by the fire playing snap. Florence wore her beautiful slippers and munched ice cream and donut because she no longer had to worry about her figure. Wilfred was purring. "I've just decided, Wilfred, dear, that I really rather like being old and ugly," said Florence. "It's so much more restful." "And the company's better," said Wilfred, dryly snapped. The end.